How's it going, fam? It's Erica with Not Your Average EDC, and today we are doing the week 3 update of the testing on the Native 5 Lightweight and the Delica 4, and we're going to go over 3 essential sharpening and stropping items that you need if you were going to get into sharpening. Specifically freehand sharpening. That's what I do. We're not going to be talking about angled systems today because I've actually never used one, but let's just hop right into it. We'll start with the update first. We are in week 3 of the month consecutive testing of these 2 models. We're not really testing the models. I've already thoroughly tested these. We are predominantly testing the steels and basically doing a versus. So we have CPM REX45 here versus Bowler K390. And I've been using these every single day consecutively since the beginning of January. You guys know I do weekly updates and then we do a final review after 4 consecutive weeks. So really interesting stuff going on with these that I want to share with you guys. I have not needed to touch up the K390 yet at all. I'm hoping that I do soon because I can't do the review until I sharpen this. I think that's a very important aspect of giving a review. You cannot give a review on a knife if you are still on the factory edge and you haven't sharpened it. Like, that's not real life. So I'm hoping I can sharpen this soon so that I can actually do the review when the month is up. But we're getting pretty close here and it just doesn't need anything. It doesn't even need to be stropped. So the good news is K390 is incredible and it's like a super steel that you don't need to do anything to. The bad thing is it almost lasts too long and I really want to put a new edge on this, but I'm not going to do it until the factory edge gives out. So that's kind of wild that we're on week 3 and this is still running the factory edge. And it is still shaving sharp, absolutely insane. I don't know. I'm trying to wear it out, guys, I promise. Like, I really do want to do this sharpening video for you guys and it just doesn't need it yet, which is insane to me. So that obviously speaks for edge retention and longevity. K390 clearly has absolutely insane edge retention, and I am absolutely in love with this steel. I have tested it before. We tested the Wharncliffe Delica with K390 over the summer, and this is, just as good. It's unbelievable how crazy the edge lasts. So nothing really new there, but we have had some interesting observations with the REX45. As you guys know, this is reground. This is not a factory REX45 or a factory Native 5 lightweight. It's obviously fully decked out, which we have covered all of those mods in previous videos, but this has been reground, very thin. Anthony, again, I forget what the BTE is. Oh my god. BTE is on this. Sorry, guys. So if you're watching, can you just put it down in the comments? I always forget. But anyway, this is very thin and has a 15 DPS edge. So I have sharpened this a few times, and the other day I recorded a very thorough freehand sharpening video of this because it needed it. But here's what I'm noticing about this steel. The edge that it came with from Anthony was good. It kind of reminded me of like John from BGM Knives. His edges, they're like good. They clean slice paper. His edges are convexed. This one I don't think was, but it reminded me like of a good starting point edge, but it wasn't what I was craving, if that makes any sense. So I did use the edge that Anthony sent me, and then I sharpened it, and the first sharpening that I put on this, it just, again, wasn't up to par. Sorry, let me turn this off. My friend is calling me. Yeah, it wasn't up to par, and it wasn't as toothy as I wanted, and I also felt like maybe I had convexed it a little bit, and that just did not work well with this type of blade style. So I used my own edge, wasn't really happy with it, and that happens, you know, we're human, we're faulty. Even I mess up sharpening sometimes. I think I convexed it a little bit, maybe during stropping, and it just wasn't as bitey as I wanted. So then I recorded the full sharpening of this on my DMT stones, like this one, and we really got a very pleasing, satisfying edge that time when I recorded it. I was cutting through paper at the end, you know, doing the little waves through it, and it was just like hair popping sharp. And I feel like I really dialed in that apex during that sharpening. And I must have, because we are many, many days past that sharpening, I have used this very extensively, and the edge is still just absolutely stupid sharp. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, when you have a knife this thin and you go to freehand sharpen it, you have to pay way more attention to sharpening this than something like this. I have never sharpened a knife this thin, and I have never sharpened like a regrind like this, and I had also never sharpened REX45 with the progression that I used the other day. So it was a whole new experience, and I kind of went into it thinking I knew what I was doing, and even though I am experienced, I did not that first sharpening. It was a totally different ball game, especially with 15 degrees per side on a knife this thin. So I really learned a lot, and the second time I paid way more attention. Even though I was like talking the whole time, I was like in sync with how everything was flowing. And the second sharpening went much better. And the results are phenomenal. Like I said, this knife is so freaking sharp still. I don't know if I have any paper to show you guys here. I have like literally shredded all of my magazines. I have like a little piece. Let's see if this works. So I've been using this like crazy, and it is still just absolutely terrifyingly sharp. So REX45 reground is like beyond a super steel, and the edge retention is actually scary. It's just that it's trickier to work with if you are thinking this is going to feel like a normal knife on the stones, basically. That's my point, is like, just once you go to sharpen it, you got to pay attention. Because I was not the first time, and I kind of messed up. So now this edge is absolutely insane. It is very refined. It is very toothy. It's an absolute workhorse, and I highly recommend at week 3 that you regrind your REX45, because the cutting performance is out of this world, okay? So highly impressed. And like I said, nothing against Anthony's edge. I think I just kind of blew through it, and I needed something a little bit different, and this is really working very well for me now. So tying into that, let me show you the necessities for your sharpening. This is going to be the bare minimum, and this will take care of your super steels like REX45, like K390, like S90V, like Maximate, MagnaCut. This setup will take care of all of those steels. It's also a very cheap and effective way of getting into freehand sharpening and stropping, where you do not need excessive funds to get these, and you can fully take care of your tools yourself instead of sending them off to somebody that might lie to you and say that they freehand sharpened something when they didn't. Had to pick up my paper there. So, your stone. This is all you need. I said this in a prior video, but we will just reiterate very quickly. This is a 600 grit fine DMT stone from sharpeningsupplies.com. No, I have no affiliation with them, nor am I sponsored. I paid for this with my own money a year ago. This came in a set of 3 with a coarse stone and an extra fine stone. But if I had to recommend one and only one to you guys to save money, just get the 600 grit. Across the board, this is the best stone all around to take care of any of your steels, from 1095 all the way up to Maximate. If you're looking for a working, toothy, crisp edge, this will not give you superior refinement, but it will remove material no matter what steel you're using. It will give you a nice clean edge, not polished, toothy, working, but very, very good. And the good thing about your stropping system here is that once you move on to these strops, you can semi-polish and really refine the edge I feel that it's completely unnecessary to get anything above this if you are on a budget and looking for just a simple starting setup for yourself. So 600 grit DMT stone. This is the 6-inch one. Okay? You do not need to get a stand to put this in because it comes in a case that has little rubber feet on it. So again, if you are saving money, you do not need to get the fixed system that I have that you put the stone into. It literally comes in a little case with rubber feet. You just lay it on there. You're good to go, okay? So 600 grit DMT, that's the stone you need, the one and only stone. If you have a very high hardness steel, like REX45 or Maximate, that needs something very hard to move material again in terms of stropping, the basswood is the way to go. I learned that very quickly. Anthony sent this over to me. This is just a little tiny piece of basswood. It has 2 micron and 5 micron compound on it. And he put a diamond, what is it called? Diamond, well, it's a diamond compound, but I'm trying to remember the specific word. Anyway, he loaded it with diamond compound as far as I know. This works extremely well. It is very hard, and the compound on top of it really works very nicely. But this is a fantastic, very cheap and effective strop that you can literally pick up at any hardware store. Just order your compound online, grab a little piece of wood, put your compound on, you're good to go. This will take care of your high hardness steels. Obviously, you can use anything on this, but I feel that I kind of like save this particular item for my super steels because it works best for that, and I do not need something that hard to move, you know, S30V, S35VN, Nitro V, things like that, if that makes any sense. So I do have a different strop that I use for my K390 and below, essentially. Just because, again, I want to save this for my really hard steels that actually need this. So this is a little strop that I got from Fletcher over at All Things Knives. If you do not follow his channel, please go follow it. Really great kid. He tests knives and steels and stuff. He does a lot of tabletop reviews. He's just a really good person. He sent this over to me, and this is what I use. I have a whole bunch of strops. I don't know if you guys saw it in here. I have a whole dang empire of strops and sharpening supplies in there. And I do tend to reach for this, I would say 95% of the time. Fletcher did a really good job on this. Again, it's just stuff that he picked up at the scrapyard. He like picked up this wood for free. He got some nice leather, epoxied it on, and loaded it with some diamond compounds for me. We have 9 micron and 1 micron. He did label them. And again, a cheap, effective way of taking care of your edges. You can tell I've used this a lot, and I really haven't had it for an extended period of time. He sent this to me over the summer, and I have used the living shit out of this. I use it every single week. The leather that he chose and the stiffness of it, it doesn't have a lot of give, which I really like. It kind of restricts you from, again, convexing your edges on accident if you're not looking to do that. So if you have something like a 9 micron and 1 micron setup, this will really take care of all of your general steels that are not as hard as REX45 or Maximate or something of the like. So little tiny strop, takes a couple dollars to make. You could also just ask Fletcher to make you one. And he did send it with the compound on it. You can order those anywhere online, those compounds, and you can choose which ones you want. You don't have to pick 9 and 1. You can pick 0.5 and who knows what. You can literally do whatever. But this is a very cheap, effective way of taking care of your edges yourself. If you are getting into knives or you want to review knives the correct way and actually use them before you give a review and test the factory edge and then test your own edge and then give a review, in a proper manner, this will send you well on your way. You do not need anything more than this at all. It's very cheap, it's very effective, and I feel that using these, you can absolutely get positive results that you can share with the community that will be effective and, like I said, a proper way of doing it. So those 3 things you absolutely need if you're going to sharpen your knives. You don't need anything else. That's the update on the testing here. These are absolutely phenomenal steels so far. I really enjoyed both of these. If right now Obviously, this is not the review, but if I had to pick one of these to recommend to you guys and I could only choose one, I would generally go for the K390, just because I do feel that the ease of sharpening and maintenance is a little bit better. Like I said, I've tested this before, so even though this actual edge has not been touched yet, my experience with K390 in the Delica beforehand I worked with, and I do recall the stropping experience being less finicky and easier, and the ease of sharpening with the K390 was just easier in general to maintain, but you still have a high hardness, extremely good edge retention. You get great toughness. It's the best of all of the worlds, and for the general user that is not like a complete knife nerd that's just looking for a really good toothy steel that is all around incredible and checks all the boxes, K390 is what I would recommend so far 100%, just because I feel that REX45 is a hair more finicky, whether you get it stock or reground. I feel it's just very hard. I feel that it's a little bit more difficult to move and to create a burr, and I feel that the toughness is very good, but I'm just more comfortable with K390 because I know how hard this is, and it's just a little... It's a little more time consuming to actually sharpen and maintain. You know, you got to get it a special little strop for itself, right? It's a little needy. It needed this, in my experience, as opposed to just a normal strop. So hopefully that's some information that makes sense to you guys, that you can actually utilize. Thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate everyone watching the channel. I will do the full review on these knives next week at the end of the month. Obviously, if we still don't need to sharpen this, I will have to actually extend the testing and give the real review once I sharpen it. That it's crazy that it hasn't needed it yet, but that's the update for you guys today. I love you so much. I will see you on the next video. Go use your shit. Learn how to sharpen your knives. Learn how to sharpen freehand and don't lie about it. I love you guys so much. Take care.